Hey, what's up? I'm Tony,
And I'm Rico.
and this is Relatively Sound, the podcast that is on my saxophone. Now, today, how you doing, Rico? Let's start there.
I'm doing well. You just completely destroyed my hopes and dreams of you enjoying the Killers album Pressure Machine. Um,
How will you ever recover? Well, that is
uh,
okay because today, don't worry, I'm
I'm
not
going to
getting
destroy
an.
your hopes and dreams.
Well, that's the thing. My pick for our album for album series is a little bit different than normal. I'm gonna give you an album that I've only heard in its entirety a few months ago. Um, And why am I doing that? Because I love this album. I don't know it like the back of my hand, but I've really been enjoying it. And I'm gonna say right now, definitely the best new to me album that I've heard all year. Um,
Okay, but by that you mean the album didn't come out this year.
no, the album is actually all the way back, 2006,
Okay.
November 28th. So
So it's
almost
just
a birthday.
your favorite album that you've discovered this year.
Yes.
Okay.
And I might be a little biased. There's a little bit of a backstory to how I, discovered this album. So way back when I was in sixth grade, a little young one, aspiring bassist, I was really into Primus. There was this German guy on YouTube who did these Primus medleys where he would just do a bunch of Primus bass lines. He had the same like kind of goofy humor as like Les Claypool. I believe his channel name is Lightner Joe. Could be saying it wrong, but he made great videos. He still makes videos. He's cool. Um, and I remember there was this one cover that he did on his channel, and he just did a bass loop, but he did all the parts, and it was a super cool fretless bass line. Um, and I guess he mentioned when he like wrote the description that he loves his fretless work. And I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, cool. And so just the other month, I was like, yo, you know who I haven't checked out in for a while? Lightner Joe is his channel and stuff. Let me go check out his videos. And I went back to, that particular cover. And I was like, damn, yeah, this is a good song. I've always liked this. I should look up the original. Why have I not? Now, I don't even know how to pronounce the title of it. Um, Blue Troush, I don't know. Was the song opening track from Big Sir's album that is called
Und die Scheiße ändert sich immer.
that was absolutely the worst German pronunciation in the world. Rico, please edit Google Translate over this, please.
All right.
I did my best. I did my best.
I'm happy that you think that I have the capability of doing that, that I have the means and the knowledge to do that.
We'll make it happen. Okay, we'll make it happen. So yes, so the band is Big Sur. They are a duo, from consisting of Juan Alderete and Lisa Papineau. Now, Lisa, also probably butchered your name, sorry, is a French artist, to my understanding. She was in a band called Air, as well as M83. Juan, hopefully I didn't get his name as butchered, was a big part of Racer X, and he's worked with the Mars Volta, Marilyn Manson. So definitely more of a heavier background. It's just kind of cool that this guy, like kind of just a little bits of my musical background kind of, point towards this record. It's cool that I finally get to hear it. Wikipedia calls this album experimental pop and jazz. It's kind of a longer album. It's like 53 minutes. And it's going to be completely different than Pressure Machine. And I mean, there's a lot of people on this album that helped out with things. But I really don't have too much more to add before we get into this, except thanks to Wikipedia. The title of the album is German for, and the shit is always changing. Well said. And, oh, that other word I butchered, Blue Trausch, is German for bloodlust. Well, let's go ahead and get on with it. Yeah, good shit.
Let's head on over to YouTube to watch my first reaction to this Weirdest Hell album. Let's go.
All right, song number 1, Blue Trosh, Smooth Interlude. Translation in English, Bloodlust. This is the one that had the cover.
That makes sense. It sounds like a fretless bass. Okay, so the song has lyrics. Genius just did not want to translate the lyrics from German to English. Interesting. This is their most played song on the album. This is interesting. The bass line is jazzy, but it's also a little funky. Okay, I'm glad the vocals changed up because it was a little repetitive. I'm trying to figure out what that instrument is on the left side. If it's just like a synth,
Probably like
or
a
if it's
cello or
string.
something. Sounds like a string, like it's being bowed to my ears.
I'm kind of surprised you like this, other than for the bass.
Damn, you're out here.
No, not because
what
it's
is
like
that one word?
bad, but because it just doesn't sound like a
Typecasting.
you song. But it's,
It's
very
got
repetitive.
it's got a strong melody.
It's very repetitive.
It's vibey, bro. Vibey. Well, it comes down to, do you like the vibe or do you not like the vibe? And we'll find out.
I sort of like this vibe.
First song, Blue Trash, opener. Thoughts, feelings, concerns for the rest of the album.
So I'm not sold yet. I like the production. It kind of has like this is gonna sound weird, like a kind of a cozy sound.
Yeah,
Like everything's kind of like tight, and like you had two instruments panned very hard left and right, with the bass being like right in the middle, which makes sense because the bass was really the star of the song. The vocals were interesting. Just a personal preference thing. I always find it harder to connect to a song when I don't understand the lyrics. So I would like to look up if somewhere on the internet there is a translation to the lyrics, because we tried Genius and no luck. But Genius does have lyrics to other songs, so I'm led to believe that at least some of these other songs will have English lyrics. But yeah, I think I like the production and the bass playing the most. I don't know, it's interesting. It kind of like sounded like a song that you would hear in like a montage for like a TV show.
Like what? Like a fan made YouTube clip? You talking like a scene in the show?
Like
where
a
it's
scene,
montage?
a scene where it's like people are like walking around like on the city streets or like on the bus, and like
I could see it like a late night walk type of scene in like a movie or
yeah. It was. I will say it's smooth. It's the parentheses says smooth interlude. It is smooth.
Why is the interlude the first track, especially if it's like 3 minutes long?
Yeah, and it had like I was expecting it to be instrumental because I feel like a lot of the time interludes can be instrumentals, but it was a
Right.
full-on song. So I don't agree with the interlude part, but I do agree with the smooth part. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, it was definitely a little bit more repetitive than I thought it would be for. I'm expecting the rest of the album to have like more zany stuff, because this was pretty not zany.
All right, song number 2, Rejoice the Rig.
Okay, this is what more I was expecting. This has that Primus sound. This is like if that Pomplamoose band took acid.
That's funny.
Okay, the hand claps I was not expecting.
You wanna reject it, but you can't help but find yourself kind of like getting
I
into
can't
it, you know?
reject it because
You have to rejoice it. It's the
everything-
title, damn it.
everything is good except for the notes they're playing. Oh, what does it remind me of? There's like a bass line that Jeff does in Pearl Jam where it's a little similar to this.
Dirty Frank. He kind of does
Dirty-
like that
is it Dirty
walk
Frank?
up
Okay.
kind of awkwardly during the the riff. Yeah.
And I've heard that song recently too, so that's why it was in my mind.
Good catch. Good catch.
So she's like kind of singing more in like a fragile tone there, but I was expecting this for her to like rock out a little in the song. Maybe I got a little bit more than what I wished for. There's like a lot they're throwing at the wall. Because like now you have this like little
You got the glockenspiel. Yeah, and it sounds like bass is doing like harmonics too.
Okay, so kind of the opposite of the last song, which means my reaction is kind of the opposite of the last song. Again, it kind of felt like there was only 2 parts of the song. But unlike the first song, they added a lot more to this song, which makes it more interesting, even if whether you like it or not. And I was kind of on the verge of not liking it because it was, I mean, come on, I'm just not a flat 5 person. And by that, I mean the chords and notes they were picking are definitely happen more in the bands you like than the bands I like. And I'm one of those people that if there's dissonance, I need something else to kind of cut through it. Thankfully, that part, the second part of the song, well, I guess there's kind of 3 because there's kind of like the verse and kind of the more chorus where the vocals were a lot more gentle and higher pitched, which was a little bit more melodic than the rest of the song. And then you had that bass part that I thought sounded like that Pearl Jam song. And that part to me was the most like normal sounding part of the song. So the song definitely did have more going on with it than the first song. But I only like bits and pieces of this song. I mean, it was cool, like them throwing in the random instruments, like the glockenspiel, the different bass things that you said was going on, the electric keys again. I mean, we still have a very similar, the 2 songs, they don't blend in together, but they definitely have a cohesive sound in the sense that like it still kind of sounds cozy. This one just sounded like a cozy nightmare.
All right. The freeways of my mind.
Okay, these are some garage band sounding drums. This dude thinks he can be Robert Sludge. Okay, I've decided these lyrics are probably just going to be phrases and stuff that don't go together. So I just got to accept that. So I've decided you're going to just say this album's good because every song is vibey, but I think it's very repetitive. It's just you like, and that's what I've argued for in other songs that I like that you don't. It's that I dig the vibe of a repetitive song, but if you don't dig it, you're not going to enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
The song gives me vibes of the Blue October song, Jill Wire Through My Cheek. Also, this song is too long for what it's doing. The song, like if I was to score this song, the score would not change if there was or was not vocals. I'm not even talking about lyrics. I'm talking about vocals.
Can we just end this reaction? You can just say it's sex, and we can just move on from this, and I can just listen to the album by myself in peace.
Okay, hold on. Okay. There are some decent things with the song. If the song was like 2 minutes long, like 2.5 minutes long, it would have been cool, especially because this song sounded more like it could have been an interlude. Like this could have been like 1.5 minutes long. I know every time I talk, I'm shortening the length of the song, but I'm just thinking like if it was an interlude song, then like that kind of, because the bass line was cool, but it just like didn't change throughout. The tones kind of did, which was cool. And sometimes the tones kind of got lost with the guitar tones, which also kind of were like, what's the, like kind of wah? Like there was definitely a little wah in there, right?
Yeah. Like there was like the wah guitar.
So,
you had this.
I think I was most impressed with the tones coming from the instruments, but everything else just didn't work for me. Like, I don't know, the drums and vocals just did absolutely nothing for me. Like at least the vocals kind of came in and out, so it was they were kind of passing by, and so they kind of felt like they were changing, even though they weren't. But like the drums were just like the bass line needed to be a little bit more active, like in the first song for me.
Well, here you go. Song Bong Blue, track 4, 59 seconds long.
How do you feel about songs that have like a really loud sound?
What?
Like don't you hear like the sound of like
oh like all the hiss?
It doesn't sound like it was recorded in a studio. It sounds like it was recorded like on an iPhone memos app.
Yeah, this literally just sounds like a demo from someone's voice memos. Let's just keep it rolling. I don't...
Hey Soldier. Okay, this is the most different sounding right off the bat than the rest of the song, besides the last intro or interlude song. I kind of, though, it makes sense why the last song was where it was, because the bass line I feel like is similar. Okay, see, already the song has different parts. This is like, you know, the bass section, extra percussion happening. And these lyrics somewhat are telling a bit of a narrative. The drums sound really dry. Yeah, I appreciate the drums here because even though maybe it's a little cliche, they sound like marching drums, and the title of the song is called Hey Soldier. Even though I said I like the different parts, I do not like this part.
You like the other part more?
Kind of.
I will say this part does have kind of like... Sorry, I'm letting you soak up those vocals.
No, because it reminds... It sounds like music you'd hear in a waiting room of like a doctor's office.
What the fuck?
It's probably my least favorite on the album. That said, I appreciated that it sounded different than the previous songs, and I felt like it had distinctive different parts. And like what I mean by it sounded different than the rest of the songs is that like it wasn't just a same drum loop, active, upbeat, impressive, but a little bit repetitive bass line, and then vocals that just seemed kind of like willy-nilly. This song seemed definitely more honed in, like, hey, we're doing a song that's a little slower, but it's not like a ballad, although this maybe is the most ballad this album will get. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm hoping we can get a mix of this song in like the first two.
Track number 6. I'm gonna guess it's pronounced Sadakoi Street.
Okay, someone was recording the song from the other room. So is there two basses, or is that very first instrument we heard a guitar?
Pretty sure that's a guitar. You're like, oh, okay, I see it. I see it coming together.
See, okay, so the first time around, this part was cool because it was the second different part. But now it does feel a little repetitive again. It sounds more like someone screaming than whistling. It's actually a little creepy. I mean, so far half this album does seem just kind of like interludes. Like, this also sounds like something you would hear like in a movie.
All right, well, I take it there's probably not too much to say about that song.
It was more pleasant than some of the other songs, I will say. And at least the runtime didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome. But it's just, I feel like there's more potential to it. But maybe not. Maybe like they just jammed this in the studio and they're like, why really turn this into a full song with lyrics and vocals and different parts? Why not just do it? And like, you know, you sometimes will, if I like a song that only has like 2 chords, you'll go like, eh. And I know the song isn't 2 chords, but the song is just kind of like 2 parts, which is kind of similar.
Yes.
And I do think this album's going to come down to, do you vibe, or do you like each song because of the vibe? And if you don't, you're not going to like the song. And at the end of this album, I'm going to count out how many songs I actually dug the vibe to.
Track 7, because that shit's too evil.
Now this sounds like it should be on a 2000s racing video game on the PlayStation.
I always get scared whenever I hear like a horn instrument, and it just sounds like a voice for a second.
Here's the problem, that this album can't just do what I wanted to do. I said I wanted more fusion. This is too much. Why did that sound like our intro to right now, our demo of As Good As It Gets? There's a lot of vocal layering on the songs where there are vocals, but so far none of it has grabbed me. It's just like
this is not my favorite part of the song.
It's like the song is just either like Manic Street Preachers level of insanity, or like a commercial for like Folgers coffee.
That was a low blow.
Yeah, so that's not one of the vibe tracks for me. That's more of a song like you play for someone else to see their opinion on it, kind of like how we're doing now.
Yeah.
I will be shocked if you think that's like an actual like good song. I mean, I can see how you would think parts of it are good, but it's just so all over the place, which I know was the intention. Like there's like a cool, slow down, halftime, pretty part with the vocals, and then there's like the chaotic, jazzy saxophone solo going crazy part. But
Let's go on to track 8.
the song's called "Get Off the Beat."
Bro's steaming. He's already pissed.
This bass player loves to slide. I do not like the microphone the lead singer's using. It's got that real hiss sound. Okay, this is the most dynamic a song on the album has been. Well, I mean, besides the last song, but like, I will say that song could probably enter in my vibey songs. I still think it was just, it's just vibey because it kind of just was one section the whole time. It felt like. There might have been 2 sections, but
I'll say this: it definitely was more consistent throughout. But I think the vocal, like, there was a clear chorus, section, like with the melody and everything.
And it was maybe the most interesting vocal melody, but I still think she sounds bored. So
Right,
I think we're still batting 500, basically. It's like half the songs I could probably jive with, like, vibe-wise, and then half, not really.
Song number 9, Saxophone, which I did quote this song for the not very creative intro.
This is the most, like, electronic song so far. This is a little bit more what I thought the album would be like. Okay, I don't like those vocals, though.
No?
Not the... The main synth in the background, the one that's just like this, sounds like a video game. Like 8-bit music. This part I thought I was going to like until... That actually kind of hurts my ears. As in, like, it feels like there's a bug that went in my ear that's scratching along the side of my skull, then yes. Musically, I like this section. So far, we have not, like, had, like, a clear winner. Like, this is my favorite song. This is probably the closest, though. This is, unfortunately, for you, this might be the closest we get to, like, a song where I straight up really like or love, because I'm not enjoying this album as much as you'd probably hope.
Oh, because you're saying none of these songs.
I'm saying that. I'm saying, yeah.
All right. Well,
no, move on. Yeah, I mean, I want to say that, like, for the most part, I really liked, like, the chord progression, and I liked the electric keys, but there were still some things I just didn't love about the song. That part where, like, there was some weird keyboard sound effects. I didn't like that. That were pan left and right. And then I'm just like getting over the fact that I just don't like her as a vocalist. But there was that one, like, instrument or where she's not singing words. That part I just didn't like straight up. But was there no saxophone in the song? That also makes me mad because there was saxophone in the other songs, some of the other songs. So that last one is real nitpicky, though. I will give you that. But this was the most vibey song, in my opinion, so far. And guess what? It was like the song with the least amount of, like, bass in your face parts.
All of that to say, track 10, Pelo de Elote.
So we had a fake out fuzz intro.
I guess so.
And we're kind of back into track 2 territory. The hand claps are back too. This is no bueno.
Well, at least you matched the language on that one.
I absolutely hate this vocal line. This would be like in a Saw movie or something.
Yeah, maybe this part, yeah.
Yeah, this song is too long for what it is.
Yeah, so what do you think about that song?
I think I didn't like anything about that song. I think that's actually the first true stinker of the album. Like, It actually makes me think some of the other songs that I didn't like as much, I like them more now because of that song.
This also was not one of my favorites. Wasn't my least favorite, but this was bottom half of the album for me for sure.
So wait, have we heard your least favorite yet?
Hang on. But this one has grown on me. I think this one's really fun. I do like it. I don't have like a definitive ranking yet of this album. It's
No, but
still
you
new.
said like it wasn't one of your least favorite. Like it wasn't your least favorite when you first heard. Is there a song that you liked less than this one on a first listen?
Oh, yeah, there was one I for sure I like less than this one on a first listen, but
Okay,
but
not counting like the 50-second song.
yeah, no, yeah, you don't count that. Track 11, what Rico's gonna need to do after he finishes this record, I Lie Down.
Another song where it's the recordings. This one sounds like it's in like from like an cassette tape. Yes. So it kind of started off with like the Three Little Pigs story. So far, her vocals actually sound the most not bored here. There was like a little swagger in the singing. I very much dislike the production on the song so far. Okay, break. Okay, thank God. Okay, what in the Napoleon Dynamite are these synths? Hey, this vocal melody reminds me of Josh Homme.
Dude, I was literally gonna say this is like a dressed up Queens of the Stone Age song. You got the flute.
Yeah, see, this is a little too much like there's too many cooks in the kitchen. My favorite part so far is actually the drums. That like drum part, this right here.
Yeah.
Again, there's some things to like, there's some things not to like. Like the overall sound I did not like. And I really disliked the first half of the song where the production was like very hissy and very back of the room sound, you know? But then the song, like, it actually felt like it started. And it was definitely more tolerable. I will say, like, up until like the end, I did feel like the vocals did like, maybe it's just because I connected it to kind of like a Josh Homme performance. I was actually for once on the album kind of digging them. But then kind of like with their main issue I'm having with some of these songs, it just, everything started feeling repetitive. Other than the fact of them, like, let's throw in like a flute solo, let's throw in some weird organ keyboard noises. And just a lot of it, especially when it goes very dissonant, I just don't love. But I did kind of like the drumming. And I did like the vocals near the beginning. But unfortunately, I do not, as on a first listen, is not in the vibey tracks for me.
Hammer on, pull off. This is everything you love. Her long, slow vocals, production quality of like, I don't know, GarageBand iOS, and not even a bass line really.
More like production SOS, because where is it? Yeah, the song I pray to God it goes somewhere.
I don't have anything to say, by the way.
The whole song cannot be this. Is it really the whole song going to be this? First of all, I hate that most of it is panned to slightly to the right. My headphones feel lopsided.
So, I mean, I don't think there's much to say about the song, other than...
Yeah, we can let it play, if that's what you mean.
Let it play. Actually, I will pause it, actually. Let's cleanse your palate a little bit. Take a second. Take a deep breath. Let's hit it. East Side, West Side Blues.
Okay, this is what I was hoping for the last song, something more upbeat. So this song is just her talking about how the band started. It is a very quick song, even the way she sang that, the bring it down. Well, I feel like Tom Waits could do like a little rap here and it would sound cool. Okay, there was a couple times in the song earlier where they went like dun dun, and I do like the rhythmic breaks like that.
So,
okay.
Did it turn into a good song by the end?
It turned into a vibey song, which remember, for the people at home watching, listening, if I like a song enough on this album, I consider it vibey. Where do I think it's overall a good song? Maybe not, but there's more good that outweighs any bad in the song to where, like, I wouldn't tell you to change it if you and I were in the car driving and you were DJing off your phone. Where I would absolutely make you change it if you were playing I Lie Down or Hammer On Pull Off.
God forbid. Speedy's rejoinder. What is a rejoinder? I wonder. Let me look at the album credits.
Okay, this either has to be like a sample or you're playing me a different song from a different album.
Oh. Can you guess who it is? Speedy. Sir Speedy. He's a Puerto Rican reggaeton singer.
You could probably predict what I'm going to say about the song at this point. I feel like they would be better off getting that guy who does the meme that people turn into memes, the sound to play the game.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I kind of hear it, yeah. Yeah, oh dude, I didn't know. Gosh.
Have I ruined the song for you now?
No, you just kind of enhanced it. Dude, are you telling me Big Daddy Mark did vocals on this track, dude? And why did he only record them in the left ear?
I can officially say this is the weirdest album you've given me. I don't know if I agree with... Well, I mean, I don't want to get too far into the album. I guess I'll just talk about this song, But this song is part of why this album's so weird, because this song, I literally thought you accidentally clicked play on a different song.
Wow.
Like this... The one thing that makes this song fit on the album is that it's repetitive.
Damn, okay.
I mean, you can't disagree.
No, I'm not arguing.
The song is just one with like, you know, it had simple drums.
Is by far the most repetitive song on the album.
But only because
only matched with Hammer On Pull Off.
But only because there wasn't new things being introduced. But I still think a lot of the songs are mostly, some had maybe, you know, 2 sections, some maybe just had the one, but like the ones that had the one were like, yeah, they were bringing in like other instruments, but I don't know if that like saved some of them. But this one was just weird because it had a different vocalist. Like you said, it was a Puerto Rican singer.
Yeah, reggaeton singer.
Yeah, so
I don't know too much about that genre.
Because of that, it felt really out of place. I mean, I guess it's the last song on the album because like if you put it anywhere else, it would make listeners confused.
It's kind of just some bullshit at the end, you know.
Well, all right. It has been a nice solid week since I've done my first reaction to this album that I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. Tony already probably butchered it the first time around. So
I mean, I'll butcher it again if you want, but
no, it's good. It's good. People can see the title on their screen. No need to repeat it. But I will say Big Sur album. So I've listened to it a couple times since, and I'm just going to be upfront. I'm just going to be honest. This, unfortunately, is just not an album for me. I will say this. I will say that I was looking, because I did start to edit this episode in between when we did our first reaction and today, and I was a little harsh on some of the songs that I should have been not as harsh on, and I was not harsh enough on some of the songs I should have been harsher on. So this album, it's just one of those albums where it's like some aspects are a non-factor for me. The lyrics, they're a non-factor. Like, they're not bad where they drag the album down. The few lyrics that there are on the album. And remember, there's like a song or two where they're not in English. Or there's like one of the songs where they're not in English. Mm-hmm. But then also, where there are lyrics, they're just not like super impactful. Again, they're not bad. They're just like kind of basic. The vocals too are, I'm going to be nice enough and say they're a non-factor. There are some songs where I really dislike the melody or I just really find them boring. But I will say that on some songs they're not as bad. Okay, for example, I think on like, what was it? Hammer On Pull Off and I Lie Down. I hated the melody. And the Pelo de Lote. I just hated that little, like, when she did the little kind of like staccato kind of sound. Yeah.
I like that part. The part's so good. It's a great hook.
No, not a fan.
Or whoa. That's what it is.
But like on saxophone, they're nice. They might even be the best on something like the opening track. I'm just gonna call it Smooth Interlude so I don't mispronounce it.
Yeah.
And then I will say, like, Get Off the Beat and East Side, West Side Blue. She was kind of doing a Josh Homme type vocal melody, and especially the music on East Side, West Side Blue also kind of reminded me of Queens of the Stone Age or like a
That
Mark
one's
Lanigan track.
the most Queens, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, so on those songs, her voice is decent. And like on saxophone and the opening track, it's decent. But it never blew me away. It just never. But so I'm going to say it's a non-factor because there's probably less bad than there was okay or good.
Okay.
Um,
That's good. That's a good thing.
I mean, for the fact that I'm calling the lyrics and vocals a non-factor, it's not a great way to start off a review of an album for me because lyrics usually are like should be number one for me, and vocals usually I'm not that picky about. So
That's not true. That's not true.
no, I'm really not. I listen to Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen.
Wait, what are you talking about? Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen's are well, Springsteen's a great singer.
Well, I
Tom
think so,
Petty's
but
a
there's a
good
lot of people who don't. Tom Petty is, I think, kind of you have to like you like it or you don't like it.
He
Dylan
has a style, but he does it with excellence. Dylan, on the other hand,
yeah, or even like Neil Young, like I feel like he's got a unique voice that you either like or don't like.
yeah, I've read a lot of people shitting on Neil Young's voice, which I've never really understood, but
So
besides the point.
So then it's kind of just, we break it down into, okay, do I like the music then? If I don't really care about the lyrics or vocals on this album, is the music good? And it's like, I feel like these musicians, like Juan, I think I might cut that out. When we kind of
Keep rolling.
I do think like Juan, he is talented. There is some really great bass lines. Kind of like the first three tracks, the bass is really popping off, and
I mean, the fretless thing is really cool.
The fretless is cool. Also on the track, I don't know how you pronounce it, Satakoy Street. That one had a really good groove. There's some songs that have good grooves.
Oh yeah, that's like a funky one with like the wah.
Yeah, like I did like the grooves on those tracks. I think actually musically my favorite track actually ended up being the opening track, the smooth interlude. That one also too I think had the best production, which I'll get into in a minute. But one of the issues I had with it, and if you watch our YouTube reaction, you will have noticed me saying the word repetitive a lot, and that's just because I just found the songs to like kind of find a groove and stick with it the whole time. And I don't normally have a problem with that sort of thing. In fact, I like a lot of songs where it's just like, an A section and a B section. Right. Or sometimes even a song where it's just like a 2-chord progression. Or even a song where it's the same chord progression the whole song, like On the Ocean by Neil Young and Pearl Jam. That's just like a 4-chord progression, the entire 7-minute track. And I love that shit. But I just wasn't digging some of these grooves enough to where I could have a 4 to 5 minute song of just kind of that groove. But again, these players are talented enough where I'm like, I'm not putting down their playing. I guess I'm just, the song structures and the style was just not a me thing. And then the other thing that kind of brought some of the songs down by far was the production. Like I did not like the production at all on Get Off the B. Or Satakoy Street too. Like that song would have been much improved if the production wasn't that kind of like sound effects, kind of far away, like recorded in the other room sound. And then like the one song on the album where it's kind of all over the place and kind of what I was expecting more from the album, where it was a little bit more proggy, a little bit more like, okay, jazz and electronic and rock, which was the 7th song on the album, Cause That Shit's Too Evil. That one was just like, it was too much of that. It was like too all over the place for me to really enjoy.
That shit's too evil, dude.
It was, for me at least. So yeah, I mean, like I said, the opening track I enjoyed. The Freeways on My Mind also too. I like the groove of that song.
I'm glad you came around to that one, because I remember on first listen you were not. That was like your least favorite of like the openings, and I'm like, dude, that song's awesome.
No, I much prefer that to the second track on the album, Rejoice the Rig.
Hey Soldier. I was gonna say there is one song that I really hope that you end up liking, Saxophone.
No, yeah, saxophone I was going to get to that. Saxophone, actually, to me, unfortunately, the album is almost kind of front loaded because three of my least favorites are almost in a row. The Palo song, I Lie Down, and Hammer On Pull Off. Those, like, that's like the album just hits like an all time low for me.
Yeah, I disagree with the Palo comment, but I Lie Down and Hammer On Pull Off. Yeah, those ones definitely are kind of the clunkers.
Yeah. And then like there's just some like the albums like Actual Closer, Speedy's Rejoinder. Like I don't know, like again the beat and like the groove is cool for like a minute and a half, and then it's just repetitive. The rapping kind of reggaeton singer didn't. I mean, it was nice to hear another vocal take than the kind of I feel like monotone one range of what's her name? Lisa.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. It wasn't enough to like, make the song super interesting to me. So there's some songs that had potential. And like I will say, I think the opening track and saxophone are probably my two favorites. But yeah, it's weird because I got to the point when I was re-listening to the album where I almost was going to come on here and ask you, why do you like this album so much? And again, we should preference that this is still somewhat new album to you, something you've kind of recently discovered. But I think I understand why. It's just kind of like you said during my reaction to it. It's kind of like these songs are vibey, and if it's the vibe I like, I'm gonna like the song. And I could see where you like the vibes of most of these songs. Some of them not, like the Hammer and Pull Off. Like I don't know, like how you can stand those vocals or those chords, but
that Hammer on Pull Off is by far the most grating, and it's not one that I would just pull up ever by itself. On the album, when you're kind of that committed, if you have it in the background, I wouldn't necessarily skip it. It's not automatic, but
yeah. See, like those three songs in a row are automatic skips for me.
Which is fair.
So
I see where you're coming from. That's not a ridiculous take.
But I can see why you like this album. Like it does have interest. To me, it's more interesting than it is pleasing to the ear. And I do think sometimes when you listen to music, you sometimes like a little bit of both. You like interesting. I mean, you obviously want things that are pleasing to your ear, but some of the things that are pleasing to your ear is when it's interesting and maybe a little out of the box. And that's not always the case for when I listen to music.
Structurally, it's not a challenging listen, but texturally, it is kind of a challenging listen.
So I mean, it's like a cool.
It's like cool. That's why for me, I like it. It's just a cool record. I haven't heard a record like this at least in a while.
And see, that's why I eventually have to give you, and I'm almost thinking about giving it to you. I don't know. We're not planning on doing. Our next couple episodes are not going to be albums we give each other, but it's going to be kind of some different things. But I'm almost thinking of giving you that Jack White album next as payback for this album, because the Jack White album is
payback for this.
Well, because it's like, me, I love Jack White, but he has an album that's just so absurd where it's like, I shouldn't like this. And there's some of it I do not like, but some of it also just works because it's cool, which is, I feel like how you think of this album.
Okay. Okay. When you give me that, I feel like it's going to be heated, not because I'm going to say the album's trash, but I'm just going to be like, yeah, okay, you're going to represent your boy Jack, even though you're not going to like half the album. Like,
I mean, here's the thing, like bands can put out bad albums, especially bands you like or artists you like.
Right.
Or they can put out something that isn't something you're going to ever listen to much, but it's interesting. Like there's definitely albums by bands that we like where it's like this album's more interesting than it is like good, right? So, and actually I will say that Jack White album I'm talking about has grown on me, but it's still like a weird one. It's one where you listen to the whole album as opposed to like pulling out a ton of songs and putting it, because like that's the thing with this album. There's not songs that I'm ever gonna. I will say the title track I keep saying title track. The opening track and the and saxophone are ones I can maybe put on a playlist where it's like kind of just not peaceful, but like what's the word I'm looking for? Like I don't know. It's like it's music it's smooth. those two songs are smooth, and it's like smooth listening where you can have it in on the background and you don't really care about the lyrics. Well, I mean, one of them I don't even know what she's singing, but like they're just kind of chill songs. But a lot of the other songs, even the ones that I'm like kind of on the fence about, like Hey Soldier or Freeways on My Mind or East Side West Side, like those ones I don't know if I like put on a playlist. So unfortunately, is this one of my more least favorite albums you've given me in the podcast? Probably, but it's I see why you like it. I see why you gave it to me. It's just unfortunately not my tempo, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess the Freeways of Your Mind has a pretty strict speed limit, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean it's for this type of music, yes. And like I said, I don't think it's bad. Like I mean, there's a couple moments where I kind of cringe, like some of the production moments or like that some of the melodies, but
I mean, this is a 2006 record, so.
But I will say, like, I do think there was more to cringe at on the Panic at the Disco album than like this one. So.
All right, so for the next album for album here, yeah, no, yeah, no, I mean, you're definitely not based about this album, but I understand where you're coming from. I'm not gonna argue with you on that. I think it's you made a fair point, and it's just not your vibe. And yeah, they're definitely like, I would say most of these songs for me are kind of like background songs. Not like completely tune them out. I'm not listening at all background, but like sitting down with you and listening to the whole album, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't really feel like the exact album for that. But
it probably helps too that like the first like 4 songs are really bass heavy with the fretless, and bass was like the first instrument you learned. So I feel like that kind of helped you connect to the album right away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting listen, and I am glad that you're giving me something totally outside the box. Like my last couple picks for you have been pretty kind of just like, here's another Wilco album, here's another hip album. So it is. I am, because there's less artists that I haven't given you that I'm gonna give you in the future. Like you listen to a more broad set of bands and artists than I do. But the artists that I do listen to, I like know everything from them, So it's more like...
So you're a fanboy.
Well, yeah, when it comes to bands, I like easily... If I can latch onto a couple albums, the more I listen to them, the more I love them. And like, yeah, like this whole last year was me getting into like every single Wilco album, right? And like buying them and fully enjoying them. And, where sometimes you'll just listen to a album or two from a band and you'll like it, and then... maybe you start digging their way into the discography and you're kind of like, I don't like this as much as their other stuff. And you leave it as is, which is cool. Like it's, so you're going to give more variety on this podcast with the albums you give me when it comes to the artists and bands. And mine's going to be kind of more like, well, I know the history behind this album and the story behind it and how it was written and released and blah, 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 blah. Or I might even like have like, I know what all these songs are about and I know the narratives and this and this and that, and
And that's what was kind of part of why I wanted to do this album too, is because not only was it new to me, but it's kind of hard to find information about this. Like it's not just 10 pages on Wikipedia. It's more like 1 page, and it just says
barely
where people
a page.
are from. Yeah.
In fact, when I was like editing the episode, like Genius, which you and I just decided some one person did all the lyrics, which they didn't even do all the lyrics, but
yeah,
like they have the song Hey Soldier with like a comma in between the 2 words, where on Wikipedia and Spotify there is no comma. So on when I edit this episode, I'm going to leave out the comma, but unless I like get a physical copy of like the album like on CD or vinyl, I wouldn't know what the actual title is. And because I don't trust anyone who transcribed any of this, because that's how little is known about this band, because they're a small band. Like the 2 people in this band are from bigger bands and projects, but this one is not like well known, which is cool. Yeah. I mean, it's cool to have these kind of smaller albums on the podcast. Sure, it's not going to give us a lot of views. Not that most of our videos give us lots of views to begin with, but I'm sure some people who will check out this episode will give the album a listen, and I'm sure some of them will be like you, where it's like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like, yeah, this isn't something I put on every day, but this is a nice listen. So. Yeah. It was a fun album, even though I didn't like it as much as you did.
You're like, it was fun, even though it was painful for most of it, but it was still fun. Well, no, I appreciate you giving it a shot. Glad there's a couple songs on there that you didn't mind. That's cool. Everyone needs some more fretless bass in their life.
True. So I think next week, you and I are about to go record a special holiday themed episode, but that probably won't get released next week. We'll say that for like kind of a couple more weeks closer to Christmas, but I might release a bonus episode you and I recorded some months back. It'll be a very short episode, but it was kind of a fun episode actually. As I was editing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this was pretty fun. So stay tuned for that. And then you and I are going to try to record. We hit 100 episodes a month or so ago for the podcast, and you and I are going to do a little cool celebration type episode. We have some fun things planned, so we're going to be recording that soon. And then probably by the time the new year starts, you and I will be back to trading each other albums. So stick around for that. And thank you for watching, and drop us a comment if you know this album, what you think of it, or if this is your first listen, and whether you loved or hated the album, drop us a comment and let us know. And until next time, you will be hearing from us soon. Bye-bye.